The United States warned the Albanese government on Saturday it's running out of time. We have to spend a lot more on our defence very fast. That warning came from US Defence Secretary Pete Hegseth in Singapore at the Shangri La Security Dialogue. That's Asia's top defence summit. Hegseth said there that China's massive military build-up was a clear and present danger.
China seeks to become a hegemonic power in Asia, no doubt. It hopes to dominate and control too many parts of this vibrant and vital region. There's no reason to sugarcoat it. The threat China poses is real, and it could be imminent. We hope not, but it certainly could be. NATO members are pledging to spend 5% of their GDP on defense, even Germany. So it doesn't make sense for countries in Europe to do that while key allies in Asia spend less on defense in the face of an even more formidable threat.
Now, our Defence Minister Richard Marles was there and told Hegseth in a side meeting that as for the China threat, he agreed with him.
We have seen the biggest conventional military build-up in the world since the end of the Second World War being undertaken by China.
Now, Hegseth then privately told Marles that Australia had to at least lift its defence spending from 2% of GDP to, all right, not 5% right now, but at least 3.5% very fast. And again, Marles seemed sympathetic.
We are very much up for the conversation, and what I made clear is that this is a conversation that we are very willing to have, and it's one that we're having.
But back home, there was Anthony Albanese. He doesn't want to spend anything like that and was almost contemptuous today of America's request.
What you should do in defence is decide what you need, your capability, and then provide for it. That's what my government's doing, investing in our capability and investing in our relationships. That's what we are doing. That's what we will continue to do.
Joining me is the country's top foreign affairs writer, Greg Sheridan of The Australian. Greg, this request from the US to spend a lot more on our defence, how serious are they in wanting us to step up?
Well, Andrew, it's great to be with you. They are very serious indeed. I mean, the Albanese government is pathetic on national security, and Albanese treated the Trump administration with contempt. He also treated his own defence minister with contempt, which is par for the course. Marles hasn't been able to secure an extra dollar for the defence budget, and the whole time he's been in government. He's not a friend of Albanese like, say, Penny Wong is, and he loses every budget debate. When Albanese came into office, we were spending 2% of GDP on defence. We're still spending 2% of GDP on defence. But we're now spending an enormous truckload of money on nuclear submarines and also on these ludicrous Hunter frigates, which we're not going to get for 10 years. That means we've cannibalised what very, very tiny independent defence capability we had. Now, the Trump administration has been astoundingly patient with us. And I heard a lot of the debate today. You could hear the journalists echoing the government's lines, but what about Pine Gap? And we let the Americans come here and station some of their Marines here. We don't do that out of the goodness of our heart. We do that for Australian national security. If we didn't have the Americans here, we would have zero security. We'd be utterly defenceless. As it is, we have no missile defences. I mean, your very powerful piece about the Ukrainian drones, we have made almost no investment at all in drone capability or counter-drone capability. We have no missile defence for all of our northern bases. Our Air Force could be wiped out on the first day of a conflict by a couple of Chinese missiles and we wouldn't know a thing about it. This is really a shocking dereliction by the Albanese government, and one that the coalition did not pursue properly in opposition in the last term.
Oh, that was just so infuriating how it buried it until the defence policy until 10 days before voting day. What happens if we do not do as the US suggests? And then we're not going to do it. I mean, that you just saw Albanese going la la la, not listening. So what would the US reaction be?
I think we've reached a very dangerous moment in our history, Andrew. I think the alliance is imperiled here. I thought when he was opposition leader that Albanese said everything right on defence, and I took him at his word. You always want to take yes for an answer when you're a journalist. But I think now you've got to say that he just said whatever was necessary to do the minimum necessary not to be a threat on security. So he went along with AUKUS and so on. He's not going to do anything else. Now, eventually, we know that Trump gets impatient with allies who won't look after themselves. Every US president since Richard Nixon has been telling allies they have to make a proportionate effort in their own defence. Now, why should America defend Australia more than Australia would defend itself? If Australia went pacifist tomorrow, that would be a small negative loss to American security. If America ditched the alliance with us tomorrow, we would be utterly defenceless. We could quintuple our defence budget and still not get anything like the security that the Americans provide for us. Not only that, every single person the Albanese government appointed officially to tell us about defence policy, Angus Houston, Peter Dean, Dennis Richardson, and Albanese's hero Kim Beazley, have all said we need at least 3% of GDP on defence just to do the most basic things to give ourselves some deterrent capability. And Albanese won't listen to any of them, and he regards a strategic think tank when it says the same thing, as they should take a good hard look at themselves, and he treats our ally with contempt. Now, Albanese's best hope would be just that Trump never notices him over the course of the next few years. But if it's brought to Trump's attention that we are writing checks which only the Americans can cash, we are subletting our security to the Americans and requiring them to make all the sacrifice for our security, if that comes to Trump's attention, this alliance is in quite a lot of trouble.
Well, I think you're absolutely right, as I did, to point out that there seems to be a breach between Marles and the Defence Minister, Richard Marles, and the Prime Minister on what is needed. Marles can make all the fine speeches he likes in Singapore, but our Prime Minister is just not listening, Greg. And I think there's something really serious going on here. I have no doubt we shall read your further thoughts on this in the Australian tomorrow. I look forward to reading that. Greg Sheridan, thank you very much for your time.